Namaskar, Pranam, Vanakkam, Sadhuvad. Welcome to PGurus English channel. Today, Sree sir is a bit tied up and I'm going to be your host and host for the night. And let me welcome you all. And in the name of Bhagwan Sree Ganesha, let's do the Sree Ganesha of this broadcast today. Today, our focus is going to be the realities of the Middle East and what are the new developments which are happening in the Middle East. Because the perception at a global level is there's a ceasefire. The perception is things are going to calm down. There's a cops to cops meeting which has happened in Dubai. Everybody seems to be, shaking hands and things look to be hunky-dory and things are good and all the pleasantries are being exchanged and the world leaders have been seen going together, including the president of Israel. And he's meeting the sheikhs of, Qatar, and he's meeting the amirs and all. It looks all, at a picture level, at a diplomatic level, at what we call in diplomacy, everything is optics. At optics level, it's looking all hunky-dory. But if you go deep into it, you will understand that things are not exactly what it is. What are the developments? The most important development is that the President of the United States of America, Mr. Joe Biden, has accused Hamas of breaking the ceasefire, has accused Hamas of causing this violence, has accused Hamas of being responsible for the death and destruction which has come to Gaza. And let me remind you, when we were on the last leg of the ceasefire, Hamas started attacking Israel with a barrage of missiles again. Yes, it is Hamas who started attacking Israel with a barrage of missiles. Now, today morning, the Israeli defense minister is on record saying that, look, Hezbollah is trying to get Lebanon into the fight. Hezbollah is trying to get Lebanon into the fight. And who is controlling Hezbollah? Hezbollah is controlled by Iran. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And if we look at the socio-economic impact of the war, Egyptians are complaining that our hotel bookings are down by 50%. 15% of the Egyptian GDP is run by tourism. Lebanon, the bookings are only which have been able to stand is 7%. You can imagine. I'm talking of a country where more than 80% of the population is under poverty. You have bookings which are only 7% left. Now, Syria and all, they're feeling the brunt of it. Now, especially, who is feeling the maximum brunt of it is the people of Gaza, of course. But the elite of Gaza, the people who live in Qatar, are still living in their five-star hotels. What I find oxymoronic is when Israeli president is shaking hands with the Amir of Qatar, hey, did he tell me, hey, buddy, you have this guy called Hassan Nasrullah. You have this guy called Ismail Haniya, and you have this guy called Khalid Mashal. They are living in a suite in Qatar, and we are shaking hands. And there was also one more visual where we came to know that the president of Israel has requested, whom? King Charles, to help with his diplomatic clout for the release of hostages. So what is Israel doing? Israel is doing what it has to do on the ground. Israel is also shaking hands with all the people who matter. We might not be the best of the friends, but for cameras, we're shaking hands. And he's also going to the King Charles, say, Mr. King, can you help us with the situation on the hand? Because the things are tricky. We have been trying everything. So that tomorrow you cannot come back to Israel and say, look, you guys are not for peace, you're all the way for war. And what some people believe that Benjamin Netanyahu has an obsession for Iran, well, that is not the case, because Iran is the threat to Israel. And let's not forget, Iran has a stockpile of 8,722 kilograms of enriched uranium, which is a lot of uranium to make bombs. So with all those things going on, there's an uneasy peace in the Middle East. And what I am assuming and what I am presuming is that we are waiting for the disaster to happen. December is going to be a very, very tricky month. And we can see, I hope, my analysis tells me there's going to be something major happening within the submarines or on ships. Ships and submarine. Sea is going to be where the war theater is going to be in the December. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see what is happening. Now, after, Joe Biden says, look, guys, you are responsible for everything. You deserve everything. And Joe Biden was thinking that after the ceasefire, Hamas would have toned down. Hamas would have done, soul searching. Hamas would have gone back to the drawing board and told, look, this war is not sustainable for us. But to all his misery, nothing like this happened. Hamas is back to its acts of terror. They're again firing rockets. They have not left any stone unturned. Rockets are being fired by Houthis. Rockets are being fired by Hamas. Now, today, Israeli defense minister is saying they will get, Hezbollah also involved into the game. Now, with all these things happening, what is happening on the ground? Let me take you to the Iraq. There's one PMU, 𝗤𝙗𝘆 𝗍𝑖𝑒𝑡ℎ Brigade. Now, this 𝗤𝙗𝘆 𝗍𝑖𝑒𝑡ℎ Brigade yesterday, after Joe Biden's statement, blocked the convoy to enter the northern part of Iraq of US. For the first time, a local resistance group has blocked the US convoy. And you know what? Americans have done nothing. Americans have not retaliated. And the forces which were trained by Americans in Iraq to protect their interests, they are like this. They are looking here and there. So that is the challenge what we are facing. Look at this video. Look at this video. I'll request Sachinji to play this video. This is the video on the ground, right? American full convoy stopped by these jihadis and they are not letting you go. So either you fight them or they will stop you. So American movement within Iraq is restricted by PMU, which is affiliated to whom? PMU's this 𝗤𝙗𝘆 Brigade is affiliated to Iran. So Iran is directing Houthis, Iran is directing forces in Iran, Iran is directing everybody. So this is what is happening in Iraq. Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, Syria, you don't need to know, we all know what is happening in Syria. So that is what is happening in. It doesn't end here. Today, Anthony Blinken went and met Mahmoud Abbas and they was, I think, yeah, there was something talking about peace in Gaza. Now, I have one more video to say how much of peace can there be in Gaza and how Saint Mahmoud Abbas is. He's really a saint. I'll show you a video in due course. What a Saint Mahmoud Abbas is. How much of epitome of truth and justice he is. I will today expose him also. Now, with this happening, let me take you what is happening on the ground on Gaza. What is really happening? So, Sachinji, can you play the AV file number 2? This is Khan Yunis. This is Khan Yunis last night. So when people are talking and all the attacks are going on, nothing has stopped. Let's go to AV file number 3. These are what you are seeing here. These are again strategic, reinforcement which the Hamas had built and Israel has identified them and they have started bombing them again. So if we are under the illusion that Hamas is tired out, Hamas is worn out, Hamas is not doing anything while the ceasefire was happening, what I had predicted, they were reinforcing their positions. This is a reinforced position which has taken out, I think last night or today morning itself, which has been taken out by IDF. So it's work in progress for Hamas, for Hezbollah and all. It's work in progress. They have not started. Let's go to the next AV file. You'll see some more action happening there. This is a university in Gaza, and this is what has happened before and after. And this university also might look as a very nice, decent university. Beneath the basement and all, it was again Hamas and Hamas terrorists which were it was used by them. This university was used for the mass scale radicalization of the youth. So even if you see a nice plush Western university with the green lawn or a hospital or a dispensary or a school or a mosque, it might look to be what it is there. But as you know, in Gaza, there are two Gazas. One is over the ground, one is under the ground. Over the ground picture is it's a university. Under the ground, you know what it is. And this has been also decimated by IDF. So what we are going to see in the propaganda now is, look, IDF is also trying to bury the future of our children. They are destroying our universities. But ladies and gentlemen, don't be carried away by such a malicious propaganda, because beneath the universities, exactly what was beneath Al-Shifa Hospital, what was behind the mosque, what was behind the school, what was behind the kindergarten is exactly same. And if Hamas has nothing to do on it, who is firing rockets again on Israel? Today, Hamas should be busy treating their wounded and burying their dead, but it is not what is happening. Again, the action is happening on Gaza. Now, let me take you to the next AV. It's an interesting one.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108.
Now, what is this? As I promised you, I'm going to today expose Mahmoud Abbas. This is arms which are being smuggled through West Bank into Gaza. So Israelis intercepted it, and you can say this is the one cache. This was in 1 or 2 SUVs. You can imagine the quantum of arms which are smuggled in a 1 SUV or 2 SUVs. Again, there are automatic machine guns, there are those automatic pistols or whatever you call them. I'm not a weapons expert and all. This was again being smuggled into West Bank, from West Bank into Gaza. That was the route. Israelis intercepted it. That is why it is important for Israel to be in the control in West Bank and around Gaza, because otherwise the arms would have moved to jihadis and jihadis would know what they will do with the arms. So if Mahmoud Abbas is thinking he's talking of peace, if Anthony Blinken is thinking that I can talk peace with Mahmoud Abbas, Mr. Blinken, this is what happened when you were there. When you were talking peace and you were talking prosperity with Mr. Mahmoud Abbas, this is what the Israelis were doing. And now people say that, Israel has an obsession with Iran. Why not? And if this one truck or one SUV can carry, how many SUVs are moving here and there? How many could you intercept? I'm very sure some of them you could have not intercepted. That is pure mathematics. This is the reality of the conflict, what we are talking today. And has somebody still doubts that things are going to settle in Middle East? Things are not going to settle in Middle East. Middle East is becoming more and more volatile. Today, the resistance groups have the courage to stop American convoys in Iraq on the direction of Iran. See the influence of Iran. And the people who are supposed to protect them from these militias, they are like this. We don't know. Now, arms are being smuggled. Tunnels are active, bombardments are happening, reinforcements have come in, and this all came in 3-4 days when we had so-called truce, when we had so-called ceasefire. So is ceasefire sustainable in Middle East? No. What is going to get with Middle East? Nothing. Now today, even our people have kind of told us that 𝗤𝙁𝙤𝘀𝘆 today told us that India is with the Palestinian cause. We believe in two-state solution. Well, at a diplomatic level, yes. But at a practical level, will a two-state solution hold? It will not hold. That is the reality of the life. It will not hold. You can do whatever you want. You can think whatever you want, but you may not be able to hold it on the ground. This is the crude reality of Middle East. Americans are doing this. Middle East people are again playing their games. Yesterday there is one angel of peace called Zakir Naik, Dr. Zakir Naik. You know what did he propose yesterday? He proposed a Muslim NATO. What is Muslim NATO? Muslim NATO is that all the Islamic countries should get together and you should make a NATO-like alliance. What is NATO? NATO is a military alliance today. So if you should have a formal military alliance like NATO, which will be used to protect Islam and Islamic interests across the whole world. So that means if there's an Islamic country like Maldives, if there is some problem, this Muslim NATO will come and defend Maldives. If you want to do something with the Pakistan tomorrow, then this Muslim NATO will come and defend Pakistan. It's not what Pakistan is a harbor of terrorism. Pakistan has all the jihadis in it. They're all international criminals in it and terrorists in it. No. Because Pakistan is Muslim, you cannot do anything. Now, if Hamas attacks you tomorrow, you can't do anything because Hamas is Muslim. Muslim NATO. And when I looked into it, I thought, is it Zakir Naik? No. When I look into it, I see 2 footprints behind it. It is Erdogan, it is Muslim Brotherhood, it's Qatar. So the world has to wake up to a new reality called Muslim NATO. I'll request Sachinji if he can find the picture, that be somewhere, or I can forward him. We can put that picture so that you can understand. For the first time, I am seeing military grouping of Muslim nations happening. You might come and say, Sumit, this is all figment of your imagination. Well, it doesn't happen in a practical world. Yeah, what are you talking about? No. Hold your thoughts. You know what happened? Look at what happened with 𝙒𝙗𝘁. Who made 𝙒𝙗𝘁? Who gave the idea for 𝙒𝙗𝘁? 𝙒𝙗𝘁 was the concept of Bhutto. Father Benazir Bhutto. He gave the idea to the Muslim world. He said, look, you are, you are Muslims and you control oil. Why don't you weaponize oil and hold the world to ransom? If I can use not a very proper language today, excuse me for that. I am apologetic for this. Hold the world by balls. Weaponize oil for your own gains. So OIC has become a reality, right? And India has the second highest Muslim population in the world. We were not made member of OIC. Why? It was for Islam, because this is a Hindu-dominated country and Muslims are in a minority. So it was for the Muslim-only countries where Muslims are in the majority, where Muslims are in Shasan and Prashashan, that is government and governance, where Muslims can call the shots. That is the idea of OIC. And you know how much OIC has been talking, rather bullshitting about Kashmir and so other issues. But this is also a game which is being played. So Israelis are playing their game, Americans are playing their game, Jihadis are playing their game, Iran is playing their game, West Bank is playing his game, Anthony Blinken is playing a game. In COPS, we have all the smiles, we have all the hugs, and we have all the pleasantries, but everybody, there are undercurrents. Now, Israelis are even testing the King Charles. Say, Mr. King, can you help us? Do you really have the clout? Because you think you're the head of the Commonwealth of the countries. You have a lot of influence on the Islamic and the Muslim world. Can you really touch it? Can you really do it? To my opinion, no. But this Muslim NATO is something what I want to bring to your notice, because this is a serious concern. Because if this becomes a reality, then we are heading for a lot of trouble. Because I personally don't see this as I have the picture, I'll forward it to Sachinji. I don't see this as a brainchild of Zakir Naik. I see this as a brainchild of somebody more dangerous and sinister. And that dangerous and sinister can be somebody like Erdogan, somebody like Muslim Brotherhood. So is the world gearing up to a new challenge? Yeah? Is the world gearing up to a new challenge? The new challenge is Muslim NATO. Let me share this picture. Yeah. Okay, here we go. And you still want us to believe that there is no union of Islamic nations. You still want us to believe OIC is only to control oil. You still want us to believe that the Muslim nations will not get together and fight you. You still want us to believe that one day this Muslim NATO will not go along with China and try to invade a country like India. I have told you, I have predicted you. I see 12, 13 Islamic countries along with China will one day invade India. It's a matter of time. Look, this gentleman. Sorry, not gentleman. Look, this man. He's one of the most dangerous men, right, to defend themselves, Zakir Naik. He is used as a stooge to float this idea. Zakir Naik is floating this idea so that you can walk into his trap. This Muslim NATO is becoming a reality. Now, Turkey as an Islamic country, will it be part of the NATO or the Muslim NATO? That is the question you have to ask yourself. My opinion, this NATO, M NATO, I call it O NATO and M NATO, M for Muslim NATO. So these are some of the geopolitical developments which are happening. So where is the connected world? What is going to happen to the connected world? With the US economy, the kind of problems we are seeing there, with the governance issues we are seeing there, with the biolabs happening in US we are seeing there, with this what you call white lung pneumonia, which has reached all the nooks and corners of United States of America, and nobody in United States of America seems to be talking. It has used Ohio, it has used Massachusetts. They are issuing advisories against it. I think China is claiming that only 7,000 people are infected, and Chinese people have not even replied to the WHO. Even after 15 days, they are saying everything is under control. Even we were told the same in the COVID. And Americans cannot even force China, cannot even ask China. Dr. Fauci cannot even ask China, can you please tell us it's a bacteria or a virus? Even we don't know that. Huh? And I have heard of cases coming from Denmark. I've heard of cases coming from London. There are cases from Netherlands, Finland, Croatia, everywhere. Look here and there in Europe. So I see the new pneumonia, virus, bacteria. I have no idea what it is. Some people are saying it's a virus. It has already reached USA. It is already seen. The footprint is already seen in Europe. And we are helpless sting ducks waiting for the next disaster to come our way. And nobody seems to have the courage to question China what is happening. So my point is, if this kind of a formation happens when the United States of America is weak, when the leader is perceived to be weak, And these people like Erdogan and all, they're exactly going against the NATO interest. They're exactly going against the American interest. If this is not militarization of the Islamic world, what do I call Muslim NATO? Do you think Zakir Naik has this brain and the capability to conceptualize this? No. He is being just used to throw the idea. And when was the idea thrown? Idea was exactly thrown when the COPs meeting was happening in Dubai. Exactly, it was thrown at the same time. So the Islamic world, it knows that OIC did not deliver or could not deliver. But Muslim NATO is something which you have to be worried about. Because here, it is not oil, it is not power, it is not diplomacy, it is pure play military. So before taking out an Islamic country tomorrow, you have to be ready to face the so-called Muslim NATO, which will eventually form. It's a matter of time. So what is the opinion of Christians on it? What is the opinion of Hindus on it? What is the opinion of Buddhists on it? And let's not make mistake, this Muslim NATO will be completely funded by whom? PRC, People's Republic of China. But something interesting has come from Chinese side as well. The Taiwanese deputy president is saying that China cannot invade Taiwan because we know they have a hell lot of problems there. So what I have been talking to you on PGurus and what we have been talking on our end game series on China, which will be again talking tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So that has been kind of validated. That has been kind of validated by the president of the Taiwan, and they are talking about that this is what is happening in Taiwan. So this is a very interesting turn of events. See how the things are shaping up and how the things are moving. Now, with all those pleasantries shaping up, I have one more interesting picture to show you, and then we can contemplate on that. Sachinji, if you can move to the next CV file. Who is this? You know who is this? He is the mayor of one of the towns or cities of Ireland. This man is a Bangladeshi who went to Ireland as a taxi driver. Taxi driver. He was not on a typical H1B visa. He's not a Sundar Pichai of Ireland. And you know what is his opinion? His opinion is that people who are protesting against Ireland, remember where Dublin, where we saw you one student who was trying to hackle a Jewish student in a class. We also told you that there was this, that stabbing incident happened where the whole of the Ireland was welding. This Bangladeshi mayor is talking about anybody who's protesting against stabbing of the children and those adults should be publicly hanged or shot in the head. This is the new jihadi mayor of Ireland. Welcome. Good. These are the gems what Europe has got. This is what the Europe's open immigration policy has got. This is a gem. So he is telling you, if your children are stabbed, if you are stabbed by a jihadi immigrant, no, if you protest, you will be shot in the head or hanged in the public. And that is how Irish people should be handled. Good. Well, as I told you, Sajid Khan, the mayor of London, he says that, he doesn't have anything about against ISIS. He doesn't want to call ISIS a problem. Now, it is the same Ireland where you have Mr. Yusuf Miah. Not Hussein Miah, Yusuf Miah, Pakistani immigrant who became the first minister of Ireland, and he converted his office into a working mosque. And he's talking of change. He says, my wife is from Gaza, and where will the Gaza Palestinians go? They should come here. The gates of Ireland are open, the gates of Scotland are open for them. That is Scotland, and here is Ireland. Wow, what is happening in Europe? And incidentally, I read something more interesting for all the people in Europe who are listening to me, especially my brothers from the diaspora, my sisters here. Now, what is interesting is that, when this kind of HIV is increasing in Europe, all of a sudden, and one of the reasons which is attributed to it is the uncontrolled immigration. And if immigrants start doing what they're good at, so is Europe going to be the new Africa? I don't know, because there's a very, very sharp rise in HIV infections in Europe. And one of the reasons what the medical experts say is uncontrolled immigration. So you have one virus, which possibly immigrants are calling, possibly. You have the Chinese virus part 2, which is hitting, and you have this gentleman, which we showed you right now. He is mayor of one of the cities of Ireland. He's not a mayor of Ireland, he's a state in one of the cities of Ireland. But that is what the new mayor, His Highness, the taxi driver from Bangladesh, who is the most able immigrant you have got, He's saying that if you protest against your children being slaughtered, and you're being slaughtered or raped or killed by a jihadi Algerian, I think it was Algerian, so you should be shot in the head and you should be hanged in the public. Now, with this kind of things happening in Europe, we have a Muslim NATO shaping up. Is America and Europe organized to handle this challenge? In my opinion, no. But are we too late into it? No, we can still wake up, we can still handle it. Even for India, we have to really start contemplating, because what you have on the right and what you have on the left is a very dangerous situation. If this Muslim NATO someday, really comes up, then when you talk of Pakistan, you're talking of that Pakistan plus Muslim NATO. Then you're talking of Pakistan plus Muslim NATO plus China. Now you're talking of a three-front war. You're not talking of a two-front war, you're talking of a three-front war. And let me assure you, I don't know when, it will be very soon starting to formulate. And if you ask me, does it exist informally today? Yes, sir. It informally even exists today. This Muslim NATO is informally existing today also. हाँ, आज के date में भी चालू है, but it is not open. It is not open. I told you there will be a day Erdogan will jump NATO. To jump NATO, he needs alternate. Is this the alternate? Is this his brainchild? Yes, possibly Erdogan is behind it. It is his brainchild. So world has to now fight two fronts. One is Islamic jihad and terror. One is this Islamic or Muslim NATO. So if I combine these two and I put Chinese quoting on it, you know what I'm talking about. So let me repeat. You have Islamic jihad or the terror on the one side, then you have Muslim NATO. Then you have Chinese quoting on it. So it becomes a formidable force, right? With all this hacking, right? This is the Limerick City of Ireland. This is the city is Limerick, Limerick. Limerick is the city where this guy is the mayor. Now, you see, point I'm trying to make, even with the Irish life, with the Irish liberties, where from a taxi driver you could become a mayor, still that jihadi prevalence, that jihadi mentality cannot be controlled. This terrorist, this Algerian, stabbed 3 kids. He stabbed 2 adults outside a school. Rather than condemning it, they are kind of supporting this. This is where the problem is. This is where the problem is, right? This is what he says. I mean, now here Sachin Bhai has pulled the clipping also. This is what he has to say. This is the mentality of fighting. And if you think you can refine it, you can change it, you can give it a different life. No. The problem is now the forces within your system are working against you. The problem is forces out of system are working against you. The problem is forces are trying to gang up and make a military alliance, and there is Islamic jihadi radical already working. So you have again 3 fronts opening. One is Islamic terror, then is Muslim NATO, then you have people like him, who are inside your system, and Yusuf Mia, who are inside your system and trying to break your system within. And on the top of that, you have the Chinese hand on it, you have the Chinese money on it. China is getting desperate. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. So what are you going to do? How is the world going to handle this? There are very, very fast changing dynamics, because the Muslim world is realizing, look, Israel could take on Palestine, not Palestine, Hamas. They call it Palestine, I call it Hamas. Because Hamas is isolated. If there was an alliance in place, Israel would have need to think 20 times, because then they had to take the whole alliance. So that means as long as Hamas can do the rape, murders and slaughtering, but I have an alliance in place, which is an Islamic alliance, then there's no problem. I have been warning you time and again, there's an Islamic military alliance which is going to come up. And here is the reality. I have presented you well in advance the first proof of my hypothesis that it is going to come up. Now, in such a scenario, ITU2, COPS32, all, where do they stand? If I look at COPS today, yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister said we are 18% of the population, we only have 4% of the emissions. We are the country who has done number 1, outstandingly performed others. And when it comes to distribution of the money, it is divided by 203 countries. How is it possible? China is the same population, their emission is 26%. United States is 14%, 1/4 of our population. And yet the onus is on us, the duty is on us, and the moral responsibility is on us that we have to meet the norms. We are the only country which has done better than the Paris Accord. Number 1 producer of solar energy, biofuels alliance, solar alliance, right? We have done all the things which were required by us to be done. We are number 1 EVs, hydrogen fuel cells. We are doing very well. Electrolysis, we are doing very well. Sun energy trapping, wind energy trapping, alternate energy, India is doing very well. Yet, We are not given any credit, yet we are not told anything how we are going to do about it. This is the agony of our times we live in. This is the reality of our times we live in. Now, how are you going to handle this situation? This is what I was to bring you. And on the top of that, when we bring our 𝗤𝙑𝗫 airport, which is going to be one of the biggest in the world, it's a carbon neutral airport. Yet we have told that by 2070 we'll be a carbon neutral country and will stand by it, while as no other country is going to do it. This is what India brings to the table. And are we getting that place? No. So what are the others doing? They are ganging up. They are, trying to pull us down. They are trying to, use global warming, use this agenda, use that agenda every day to bring us down. We have even suggested that next time we'll be hosting this COPs, meeting in India, which is a good initiative. I appreciate the Prime Minister. And as Indians, as a country, we are meeting everything. But what is the world doing? NATO, Hamas, jihad, terrorism, how to gang up, how to make sure you legitimize terror. I will show you one more optics of the world diplomacy. I don't know how to treat like this. Sachinji, can we show this? Now, you have seen this Prime Minister Modi, and he is the King of Jordan. They are meeting each other, they are hugging each other. It's all good, all fine, all great. Now, how come? Now, King of Jordan is believed to be the 41st disciple, or the generation, directly from the Prophet Muhammad. That his lineage comes directly from the Prophet of Islam. Now, while the world is fighting, while the world is not united, while there is a clash of civilizations, we have the direct bloodline, or the descendants of the Prophet of Islam, hugging the Indian Prime Minister. So technically, you're hugging a kafir. So is it semantics? Is it optics? Or do you really mean it by the heart? Will you prove it by your actions, Mr. King? Or you're only doing it for the cameras? We don't know. Because I think nowadays a lot of things what we see around us are only done for the cameras. So is it camera diplomacy? Is it happening in the reality? We don't know. And especially when a lot of countries have started asking for Indian workforce. The biggest problem in the Middle East is that they can't live without Indians. They need Indian workforce. Yet, the way Indian stature and the Hindu stature is growing around the whole world, that is becoming a problem. I am talking to a lot of people whom I'm, talking and advising that, the hottest topic nowadays is we want to come back to India. What are our options? Now, with all those things happening, we are really amazed. So their diplomacy seems to have developed flavors. There is something which is for the cameras. There is something which is behind the scenes, and there is something which is beneath the ground undercurrents. So a new geopolitical three-tier diplomacy has started shaping up, which is from the cameras, which is behind the curtains, right? And third, which is beneath the ground. And you have people like Zakir Naik who have started taking very, very active roles in these scheme of things. So as a country, India, as a world, as Hindus, as Christians, as Jews, as Muslims, and other religions, we have to really start thinking, because, look, I can't be an ostrich here. An answer to a religious-based alliance is a religious-based alliance only. If there's a religious-based alliance there, we have to have a religious-based alliance here. Because it should not be that tomorrow, if we want to take out Pakistan, we have to look and consider a Muslim NATO. So if there's a Muslim NATO, what is our answer to the Muslim NATO? If tomorrow Armenia wants to attack Azerbaijan, will it fight Azerbaijan on Muslim NATO? That's the answer we need to have for Armenia. But here we have Christians fighting Christians in Russia and Ukraine. So these are the pointed questions which I am trying to bring in. What is China's next move going to be when Taiwan has publicly snubbed him that you are incompetent of attacking Taiwan? Public snub is there. So what is Xi Jinping thinking? What is King Charles going to bring to the table? Let's test his diplomacy. Let's test his power. What can he really bring to the table? I think nothing. Personally speaking, my personal opinion, nothing. And when the peace was being talked, when the diplomacy was happening, what was happening in the Middle East, what is happening in the Middle East, how the weapons are smuggled, we're all talking about. I've seen Anthony Blinken shaking hands with Mahmoud Abbas. Good, Mr. Blinken, but here, we have showed you a few hundred guns were smuggled while you were there. And how many more have been smuggled? How much arsenal has been smuggled? Yet, there was one more joke I want to share you. Pakistan said that we are sending a military ship to the Gulf of Aden to protect our assets. Now, first of all, it wasn't news to me. Does Pakistan have a military ship? Good. And what are Pakistan going to protect? Bhai, kya? You have no trade, you have no navy, you have no cargo ships. There is nothing happening and coming to the Pakistan. You have no dollars. You don't have even dollars to buy toilet paper. What are your ships going to protect there? So, is Pakistan trying to send its navy in the disguise of we are trying to protect our assets and our merchandise in Gulf of Aden? Gulf of Aden is heating up. I'm telling you, sea and submarines is where you're going to see a lot of action in the month of December, before the end of the month of December. So, is Pakistan doing on the behest of China? Because remember, Americans have moved in aircraft carriers much nearer to Pakistan, and these Pakistan and Iran and all aircraft carriers have come in. So what is Pakistan's game here? What is Pakistan trying to do? So anybody can move in ships saying I'm trying to protect my cargoes, but Pakistan, you have no cargoes, you have no trade, you have no money. What are you going to protect? Of course, your sailors can live on seaweed, that is given. But with all these changes happening, what my presumption is, something big is going to unveil. Is the world going to be peaceful? No. How much time will it take? Couple of years, not a couple of months, couple of years. In my opinion, it's going to escalate, and in the January, you will see what we are talking today and what we are talking in January. The things would have been at a different scale. It would have escalated to a new level, because there are players behind the scenes who are playing the games. There are players whom we do not see. There are players who are infiltrated the system, like this Limerick, Mayor Saab, and who's shooting them in the head, or public execution. So when these all moles will be activated, how will the West and how will the civilized civilization cope with them? That is a call what we all have to start contemplating. And these moles would be anywhere. And by the way, we have this one. First we had Seema Bhabhi. Now we have one more, Benji, which has returned from Pakistan after 6 months. So some people are suggesting, was she trained by ISI? Was she indoctrinated by ISI? What is her mission? Why did she go there? What is she trying to do there? These are the things which we are contemplating. We'll be watching them. We'll be keeping a close watch on them. So this is all what I have for today, because we have to look at the watch. I thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Sorry, we cannot take any questions today because there are some limitations we have today. On that note, I would like to take a leave. While going, I would say, Bharat Mata ki jai, Vande Mataram, and Har 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 Mahadev.